Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall, but we are joined by first-time guest and Denver Bronco Insider, part of 850 AM and 94.1 FM, Mr. Benjamin Allbright. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. I apologize for doing this from my car. I'm on my way over to the Broncos facility, so I apologize in advance for that, but happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, you can't get more in-depth than live coverage than that, can you, Ben? Now, my first question to you is, Jerry Jeudy is going to be coming back most likely this week for the Denver Broncos. And so can you give an update on Jerry Jeudy and how much you think he'll be ready on Sunday, and then also an update on Von Miller if you think he'll play?
Those are both the questions. Now, with Jerry Jeudy, I think he's going to play. Every indication we've had is that he is going to play. We saw him warming up the other day. Today, he sat out of practice during the media portion early. I don't know what that was about, but Von did as well. Von has been public. He got in his presser yesterday and said that, he wanted to play. If it was up to him, he'd play. He felt like he could have gone back in the Browns game. But it's not really up to him. You got the medical staff. You got all these things, other things going on. So right now, I think Jerry Jeudy's going to play, and I call Von a coin flip at this point. But we'll see. We'll get more clarity on Von today, a little bit later.
Right, and looking forward to this game on Sunday. This is these teams are kind of built the same right now. Kind of defensive, strong-minded teams right there. On the offensive side of the ball, I know Jerry Jeudy's coming back, but who should this Washington defense be preparing for outside of Jerry Jeudy coming back this week?
Well, Courtland Sutton is currently top 10 in the NFL in receiving yardage. He's kind of been the go-to, in absentia. Tim Patrick doesn't really he doesn't drop the football, but he hasn't really gotten as many targets as you'd like him to get. Noah Fant seems to be the third down guy, but Teddy Bridgewater always throws at him short of the stick. So, take that for what you will. And then, this offense, I mentioned a lot of great skill position pieces. The boat anchor on this Ferrari is offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, who I'm not sure he could coordinate an opening drive touchdown if his life depended on it. So he has one opening drive touchdown in 26 games he's coordinated with the Denver Broncos. That's terrible. I think they've scored more than 7 points, but one time in the first half this year, maybe twice. If you count the first 3 games that they had, which were terrible teams. I mean, it was the Jags, the Jets, and the Giants. They just, they kind of put up a lot of points then, and they haven't really done anything since. So there's a lot of complaining around Broncos country that even though we have these pieces that, Pat Shurmur can't seem to call a game that'll allow these guys to score, whether that's Pat Shurmur or whether that's on Teddy Bridgewater or both of them. At the rate they're going, I don't think either one of them's going to be back here next year.
Yeah, and the Burgundy Zone is part of the Frederick Podcast Network family, and you can learn more at www.listofrederick.com. Now, Benjamin, my next question to you is, this Broncos team has lost 4 straight, and obviously Washington has lost 3 straight as well. In your opinion, where are the Broncos right now? Are they looking at this as an easy game? Where is their mindset as a team?
I think both fan bases are kind of looking at this as a get-right game. I don't think either fan base respects either team as much as they probably should. I mean, you guys have a good football team, and the Broncos have a good football team. It's just there's been circumstance and situations that's kept them from winning. I watched the early games. I finally got around to watching that Packers game, but I'd watched the early games Washington had played. And, man, that secondary looks extremely roastable is probably the best way to put that. 5 reasonably placed road cones might have gotten the job done the way the secondary was doing it. But then I watched that Packers game, and it started to kind of tighten up a little bit. That's a hallmark of Jack Del Rio defenses, too, is Jack Del Rio defenses tend to start slow and then pick up steam throughout a season. So, you could see the Washington football team kind of starting to come into their own. I think one other thing to keep your eye out here on is the Denver Broncos are, if they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be making a coaching change at the end of the year, cleaning house. And one of the candidates on the short list would be right there in Washington, offensive coordinator Scott Turner. Something to keep your eye on if you're a Broncos fan or if you're a Washington fan, keep your eye on the fact that Scott Turner is going to get head coaching interviews. I know the fan base there doesn't like him, but he's a good coordinator and he's a well thought of football mind.
Yeah, I agree. We actually talk about that kind of back and forth on our show. Like, is Scott Turner going to be around here long enough to kind of build this offense and show what he can do, or would he get head coaching jobs here soon? So I think you're head on with that. But looking forward to this game on Sunday as well. I know that like I said, this Washington team is more defensive strong right now. So if they're going to attack this Broncos offense, who would be the weak link on the offense they kind of could maybe exploit?
Well, if you're going to attack if you're the Washington football team and you try the inside, they've lost their inside linebackers due to injury. Josie Jewell, Alexander Johnson, Baron Browning has a concussion. Who knows when he's going to play? Micah Kaiser went out last week, so they've got Kevin Young, who they just traded for, to spend about 4 days here. And Curtis Robinson on the practice squad, who played a few snaps in that last game. But they really don't have anything at inside backer. And we kind of saw how Dearness Johnson made himself look like De'Aaron Henry out there running the rock, against him on Thursday night. So, I think if you're going to beat up on Denver, it starts with establishing the run and then building off play action. We've seen that secondary get sucked up. When you've got a speedster out there, they get sucked up on that run action trying to stop the run. And then guys like Henry Ruggs, Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson have all scored big play touchdowns against them because those safeties played a little too shallow trying to suck up on the run.
Yeah, and Ben, you Hall alluded to it earlier, how both of these teams are built in a similar kind of fashion. So in my mind, I'm looking at this as maybe this could be an old school type of game with that great offensive line that the Broncos have with running the football, and obviously Washington has a great defensive line, and against the stop in the run, holding Aaron Jones in the Green Bay Packers less than 70 yards rushing last week. Do you expect this to be an old school style game where it's running ball and it's hat on hat?
Well, it should be. If you look at the strengths of each team, it should be. Unfortunately, Pat Shurmur's never met the pass he didn't want to throw. So, that's how we get out of whack. You got two good running backs here in Denver in Melvin Gordon, who's actually been better than Javonte Williams, although Javonte fantasy football owners keep clamoring for him. And Javonte's had a couple more explosive plays. But, you got two good running backs here, and Pat Shurmur's like, well, what we should do? We should dial up some pass plays for our 5'8" punt returner. And do stuff. So I keep, I've been hard on Pat Shurmur, and I keep, condescendingly calling him Galaxy Brain because he does some things that you're like, well, nobody will think of that. Well, yeah, there's a reason nobody will think of that because it's not going to work, and it generally doesn't. I'm hoping that they will get back to establishing the run because that's what allowed this team to win their first 3 games. You go back and look at the time of possession differential Denver had in the first 3 games versus the last 4, and it'll tell you the difference in those games. Denver came out, punched people in the mouth. They were running the ball downhill, and they built off play action. Last 4 games, Pat Shurmur's tried to show everybody how smart he is, and ultimately it's fallen flat.
Yeah, I think sometimes Scott Turner tries to get a little bit too smart and kind of outsmarts himself here sometimes and kind of, like I said, just outsmarts himself. But if you had to have one key to a Denver victory, Denver would win this game Sunday because why?
I'd say offensively, Denver's got to use the tight end. I think your guys' linebackers are exploitable. And I think using Noah Fant against your linebackers, getting that mismatch, I think that's got to be the way you got to go. And then defensively, they got to be able to stop the run. If they can't stop the run, you guys are going to pound it through us, and it'll be, and then Terry McLaurin's going to be running wide open down the field after they suck up to stop that. So offensively, showcase the tight end. Defensively, shut down the run game.
And last season, this Washington football team faced Teddy Bridgewater late in the season, and going against him now against the Denver Broncos. Obviously, it's the same quarterback, but in a different system. So if you can, educate us on how Teddy is playing right now and what type of quarterback is he?
Teddy's the same quarterback he always is, kind of a game manager, really not a starting level quarterback in the NFL, more of a spot start, career backup, type guy. I think, he's the same guy he always was. If you have a schedule-based offense and can stay ahead of the sticks, then he can point guard you, and you can win. You can score points with him. He's never going to carry a team, but if you get behind the sticks and you're constantly in 3rd and 8 plus, you need 3 yards, he's going to get you 5. You need 9 yards, he's going to get you 5. And so that's kind of the problem with Teddy Bridgewater. He's somewhere between the poor man's Alex Smith and the rich man's Geno Smith, and that's not a place you want to be.
Yeah, we know about mediocre quarterback play here as well in Washington. Speaking of mediocre quarterback play, I know that they drafted Drew Lock a couple years ago. Do you think that we're going to see him at any point this year, or are they kind of moved on from that train and they're looking forward to next year?
Drew was very, very much improved this preseason. I'll tell you, he threw more touchdowns and fewer interceptions than Teddy Bridgewater did in training camp. And you can go back and look at the preseason tape, kind of see what I'm talking about. Drew just looked better this year. Is he perfect? No, but he looked better. That said, this coaching staff really soured on him last year, and they went out toward George Payton to go get Teddy Bridgewater. Browns game. He came on our station, and he said he was only about 70%, 75% for that game. The fact that coaches were trying him out there at that low percentage rather than turn to Drew Lock says a lot about what they feel about Drew Lock, especially because their jobs are on the line. So, I think this coaching staff is going to ride with Teddy Bridgewater until they absolutely cannot, barring some kind of injury. I'd love to see Drew Lock out there just because of what I saw in training camp, but I think this coaching staff has just soured too much. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, and let's bring this out of just this one game because, Benjamin, you're also an insider around the NFL. You hear a bunch of news. So what is the latest that you are hearing around the rumors of Tua Tagovailoa and Deshaun Watson? Do you think Deshaun Watson will get moved?
Well, the Miami Dolphins and the Texans have a deal in place. They've got the framework of the deal worked out. It's all contingent on all of Deshaun's legal stuff getting cleared up. And there's been no movement on that. I mean, he's got like 10 criminal outstanding complaints going on. There's a grand jury to investigate him that's not going to be done until December. There are 22 civil complaints. Those aren't even going to take depositions until January. Because of that, I don't think the deal will get done. If it were to get done, I can tell you Tua would not be going to Houston in that deal. Houston has absolutely no interest in Tua whatsoever. The popular speculation around the league, around guys I talked to, had been Washington. I mentioned that in a Twitter post a while back. Washington had been the team that was kind of in on him. So, end of the day, does it get done this year? My gut says no. Stranger things have happened. Deadlines spur action, but right now, I can't see Chris Greer giving up all the assets it would take to get Deshaun Watson when you have no guarantee that he's going to be playing for you beyond this season.
Mm.
Yeah, that would make sense. Jumping back to the Broncos, a guy that I was high on in their draft was Patrick Surtain. I know that a lot of people had him maybe possibly defensive player of the year. Obviously, Micah Parsons is kind of taking that spotlight with the Cowboys. How has he been playing so far this upcoming year? And do you think that he'll be able to stick with a number one guy like Terry McLaurin this Sunday?
As far as Surtain goes, yeah, I think he's played really well. Blue chip type player. It's very obvious why they took him. Maybe I think 2 lapses in coverage all season, and even then they weren't terrible. One of them he was in zone, and he should have carried his guy a little further. He's allowed no 20-plus yard plays, and he's had the other instance in Cleveland where he should have reached out to tackle the running back. It was just kind of running with him down the field instead of tackling him. But other than that, he's a pretty good player, very smart player, can play all over. Broncos absolutely made the right call drafting him over Justin Fields. And we've seen Fields now. They tried to hide him in the run game for a couple of weeks, and you're kind of seeing the cracks show there. I'm not saying Fields won't eventually turn into something, but as it stands right now, there was a reason a lot of teams passed on him, and you're kind of starting to see that. In terms of what he could be for the future, I mean, he's going to be a starting corner here. Kyle Fuller won't be back next year. In fact, he might get dealt before the deadline. Bryce Callahan, it depends on whether they get a deal done with him, but Callahan's never been healthy a full season in his life. Then you got Ronald Darby, you guys are familiar with, be the other corner on the other side. So, there's probably another scheme coming in here. So, Darby and Surtain will be the starting cornerbacks next year for this team. And I think they made the right call.
Yeah, and now to wrap this up, Ben, I have a 2-part question for you. And the first part is going to be what a bold prediction for the game on Sunday.
Oh, man. A bold prediction. The Broncos don't score on their opening drive. Is that bold?
That is very bold because Washington has given up a touchdown on every single drive except for one game, and that was a pick. Now, my last question for you, Ben, the trade deadline is coming up on Tuesday. So besides Tua and Watson, are there any surprising players that you think that could be moved by Tuesday?
I guess it depends on what you mean by surprising, because I always forget what's out there and what's not. There's some players out there that are getting shopped, looking for veterans on teams that are non-competitors that are trying to pick up assets. I'm trying to think. I think everybody knows about Ingram there in Pittsburgh who wants to get moved. You could see Kansas City move some pieces simply because they need some defensive help, something awful. I'm trying to think of who else. You know,
Do you think
off the top of my-
Brandon Cooks could go to Kansas City?
I don't think so, and I don't think that makes much sense.
Okay.
Kansas City needs defensive here. It's not like they're not scoring points.
Yeah,
They're
it's
scoring
true.
points. I mean,
Right.
they're just not stopping anybody. You know, it's what happens. It's what happens when you mortgage everything for the offense. Then you got nothing left for the defense.
True.
You know, anytime you got a defense, got a team like that, you need a defense that can generate turnovers. You need great athletes. Sometimes they're going to give up yardage and points. That's fine, but you got to generate turnovers, and they're not getting those either. So. No, I don't think Brandon Cooks goes to Kansas City. If he were to get dealt, and he very much could, I don't think it'd be Kansas City.
Oh, agreed. All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Benjamin. You were fantastic, bringing a lot of insight, and I feel like I know the Broncos much better now than I did earlier today. Thank you so much, sir. I hope you have a great night. Best of luck to you.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime.
Have a good one, Ben.
All right.
All right, everybody, we just spoke with the man, Broncos Insider and National Football League Insider, Mr. Benjamin Allbright. I thought those were great insights, especially into Pat Shurmur. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, me either. A lot of times, like, people like to give, obviously, even sometimes here, like, people like to give the offensive coordinator a little bit of a pass just because of the quarterback play, and they maybe don't have the right quarterback to be running their offense, but it seems like Benjamin Allbright said, that Pat Shurmur is going to be on the hot seat and might be not even there next year. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that. Now let's go to our fan questions, and you know we got to start with the Colonel because always, dude. And he wants to know this hypothetical question, dude. Where would we be with Kirk Cousins at the helm?
It's a good hypothetical. Well, we wouldn't be saying anything about, oh, we need a franchise guy, we need to find our quarterback. So I think that we'd be a little bit better off as far as where we're at right now, because obviously we'd have that franchise quarterback guy, and we'd be able to build the rest of the offense out around him. And I mean, look, let's be honest. Back when Kirk was a starting quarterback here, I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but he was putting up pretty decent numbers. And if you look at him this year, what he's doing this year, look what he's doing with the Vikings. He's playing at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level pace. So I think that we'd be sitting pretty good. I mean, the defense, who knows with that, but at least we'd be putting up points on the other side of the ball.
You know, when we got to talk about Kirk Cousins, here he comes. He knew that we were doing it. We are joined by Mr. Hollywood himself, Rio Robinson, fan ambassador for the Washington football team and host of the Rambling About Washington podcast. Rio, the Colonel's question, I feel like, is perfectly made for you, sir. Where would this team be with Kirk Cousins at the helm?
This current team, as currently constructed, they would be on the verge of contending, because Kirk is a better quarterback now than he was when we had him. And I know some of the pieces that we acquired or drafted when he left, we wouldn't have them if Kirk was here, because we would have actually been winning games when Kirk was here. Y'all know I'm a Kirk guy, so you know as soon as his name happens, I just pop up.
Exactly. You just knew it. You heard it from that far away, right? Colonel, I know that's a hypothetical, but I'm not sure where this team would be, to be perfectly honest, because if Kirk Cousins was still here, we wouldn't probably be in a position to draft Chase Young and be in those spots to be able to get those guys. So where would they be with Kirk right now with this team that they have? I think they would be most likely 3-3. I don't think the offense would have done enough, especially with turnovers and Kirk Cousins and stuff like that, because the running game just seems to be non-existent for that guy, wherever team he goes to. I know Dalvin's done really well, but generally his running game and defense just falls off a cliff whenever he signs there. Now, the next question from the Colonel is a really good one. He wants to know, this is discussion-based, coaching. The feel-good cancer honeymoon narrative has run its course. The Washington football team is not a very good team right now, despite the best talent we fielded in decades, I agree with that, except at quarterback. It's clear our record does not reflect the culture change the new coaching staff was to implement. To what degree do you feel the coaching staff is responsible for our dismal season to date, Rio?
That is a great question by the Colonel, actually. And while I know coaching plays a decent part of it, the coaches can't go on the field and execute. And on both sides of the ball, I've seen things happen on the field that no matter what the game plan was, the coaches couldn't control what the players are doing. Yes, there is definitely botches and what we're in the game plans weekly, like especially on defense, because it feels like we're in this like afraid to lose loose zone defense every week instead of actually attacking and going to do something, and it really doesn't feel like we're making much adjustments. But I would probably put like 65% on the players and the rest of the 35% on the coaches, because especially offensively, there's a ton of missed opportunities every week on offense. And I see so many yards and points that should have happened because they were schemed up and receivers are running open. Kind of reminded me of when we had Kyle Shanahan here with Rex Grossman and John Beck. Yes, Heineke's better than those guys, but when we had them, they had receivers like Jabbar Gaffney run open all season and the ball just couldn't get delivered to him.
To be perfectly honest, Colonel, I don't want to be kind of boring here, but I think they deserve as much guilt and criticism as the players do. Obviously, Landon Collins should not have been still and out in coverage for as long as he did, but they made the adjustment and did that. Yep. And you can say the same about the players. They should have made the adjustment and executed better, but they both have faults. But I will say, Jack Del Rio and Coach Ron, generally their teams do better later on in the season. So you could almost say this is natural for them. It's just how it usually is. And they're allowing the young guys to grow in the system with the growing pains and everything and dealing with that. So, but I will say, I don't think anyone has more blame than anyone else. I think they all share the blame equally.
Yeah, I'm kind of around 50-50. I'll go 60-40, 60 for the players, 40 for the coaches, because like Rio said, at the end of the day, yeah, the coaches their job is to put you in the best position to make plays and the best position to win. But at the end of the day, you're a player on the field. They're not scheming you up to go out there with your shoulder or not wrap up guys and miss tackles. Fact. They're not. If you're Bobby McCain, they're not scheming you up to. They're not in the microphone in your ear like, hey, jump the dig route on Kyle Pitts, but let Cordell Patterson run 20 yards behind you. You know what I'm saying? So At the end of the day, the players got to take accountability. And yeah, I would say like a part of it could be scheme. And again, you can only do what the coach tells you to go out there and do. But at the end of the day, like I said, the players are the ones on the field. They're not the ones out there missing tackles. They're not the ones out there blowing coverages. At the end of the day, like I said, athletes got to be athletes and make plays, and they're just not really making the plays they should be at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Hall, I'll stick with you for this next question by one of our biggest fans, Tony Shivers. He sent it into our Discord chat server, our group chat that we talk all the time. And his question is, do you think Jerry Jeudy will have a big day in his first game back coming off of injury?
I mean, common knowledge, because the secondary, how they've been playing, would say yes. But I will go – I guess big game would be what? Over 50 yards, over 70 yards?
I would say over 100.
Oh, over 100? I don't think he'll go over 100, but I do definitely think he'll have like 5-6 catches. I think they're going to target him early and often. He was a big part of his offense before he went down in week 1. But I just think that – I think the defensive line is going to disrupt Teddy enough just where they don't really get in too much rhythm in the passing game. And like we talked about with Benjamin Allbright, I think it's going to be one of those old school type of games where it's going to be a lot of run the ball, control the clock, maybe a low scoring game. But as far as a big game, no, I don't think he'll go over 100, but I do think he'll have 5 to 6 catches for, let's call it 75 to 80 yards, maybe a touchdown.
I don't think that he'll be the most utilized player. I don't think he'll have a big game. I think he'll have a solid game. He'll get you those, probably averaging like 7 to 9 yards per catch. One of those like maybe 5 for 50, 5 for 40, whatever. But I think that Courtland Sutton is the guy there because he has 2 touchdowns. Noah Fant has 3 touchdowns. Tim Patrick has 3 touchdowns. So those are the red zone guys. If I'm going to pick anyone there, it's going to be Sutton is going to be the guy with the big day because he's a big dude. We kind of saw what Mike Williams did to Benjamin St. Juste week 1, and him and Courtland Sutton are similarly built. So if I'm going to pick anyone, I think it'd be Sutton. Jeudy, he's coming off of injury. He's going to have to get his feet underneath of him. I don't think he's going to be balling just yet, but you never know.
Yep. For me, I love Jerry Jeudy, by the way. I know he's had some concentration drops since he's come into the league, but what he can do, his lateral agility, what he can do with the ball in his hands after he gets it is special, and he's a great route runner. But the way our defense operates, it's not usually the big names and the sexy splash names that gets us. The players I'm looking out for is their backup tight end, Albert O, is their receiver, Kendall Hinton, and the Tim Patricks of the world. Yep, Kendall Hinton and Tim Patrick, Those are the names
Tim
that
Patrick,
scare me.
yep.
We seem to do all right with the big name guys, but the obscure receivers, one of them gets us every week, man. One of them gets us. So expect a deep ball to Kendall Hinton at some point on Sunday.
Hey, Rio, let's stick with you for Tony's next question. This is Halloween based. He wants to know, what is your favorite and most hated Halloween candy?
Candy corn. Candy corn is disgusting.
What's your favorite?
My favorite Halloween candy, it would probably be, I'm not huge on candy anymore, but I'm a big like gummies, fruit snack guy, and I love Reese's. But Reese's is my favorite Halloween candy. My least favorite is candy corn. It doesn't taste like it's disgusting for me. I see someone post on the timeline today a picture of a candy corn pizza, and I wanted to vomit. Like, it was disgusting. Shout out to Tony Shivers, by the way.
Yeah, that's my dude. That's our dude right there. Tony, my favorite is Babe Ruth. That's my favorite candy bar right now. I absolutely love it. If I'm getting my box of candy, if Babe Ruth's in there, I'm happy. My least favorite, it's like that knockoff of not Starburst. What's it like Jolly Rancher knockoff? But it's like they're not see-through. It's like the dark colored ones, the hard colored ones.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I hate those. So those are the worst, especially the brown and yellow one. That's the worst one.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite candy all time is Reese's, so I guess my favorite Halloween candy would be Reese's.
You're basic, just like Starbucks, man.
Oh, I love Reese's.
Hey, Starbucks is great.
Peanut butter
man.
and chocolate.
Don't hate on Starbucks.
It's fire.
I love Starbucks.
But yeah,
I'm drinking Starbucks right now, but
favorite,
it's like at home. What's up?
Right, and you talking about Starbucks, you drinking it. My least favorite would be, I'm not a big licorice person. I mean, Twizzlers are like, man, but I mean, black licorice. Really, any type of licorice to me. I'm not a big licorice guy, so I'd probably go Twizzlers.
That's a funny thing you said, licorice. Me and my boys were talking about candy the other day when I was at my friend's house, and we came to the conclusion that licorice is just like tires with sugar. Like eating rubber sugar. Eating rubber sugar.
Dude, that's so funny. It's exactly what it tastes like. We had a question submitted by our guy Aki G on Monday, and that slipped my mind. I wasn't able to get through it, so I'll keep it with you, Hall. He wants to know, do you guys feel that the offense and defense are finally starting to put things together?
I mean, offense, they've kind of regressed the past couple of weeks, in my opinion. Obviously, like I said it on Twitter a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, that the Chiefs had the worst ranked defense in the league. They only put up 13 points. And then you have the Packers last week, where 15 for 15 in red zone trips, they've given up touchdowns. Go in the red zone 6 times last week, come up with 10 points the whole game. So that would be a regression in offense to me. Defensive-wise, I would say that, yes, they've been taking little baby steps, turning the corner. It's been like a grandma backing out of like a parking lot, just slowly creeping out the parking spot real quick. They're starting to turn out, and they're slowly turning past that car next to them so they don't hit it. But I still think, obviously, there's still plays that they give up. There's still lapses here and there. There's still a lot of missed tackles. But the defensive line is getting a little bit better as far as like synchronizing their rushes and playing together. And obviously that's going to help the pass the back four on the back end if you're getting a little bit of pressure over the quarterback. So again, this next couple of stretch of games, we can see what they can do. And we got those 5 division games coming up. But I think that by the time they get to the division game, I think that they'll be playing at the top of their peak. But will we be still in the mix? Who knows?
I agree with you. What about you, Rio? Do you agree with Hall that the offense has taken a step back and that the defense has started to get things going a little bit?
Yeah, but the defense is interesting because if you just look at the stat sheet and you're not watching the game, you'd say it's around the same. But the defense is playing better. They actually have a pass rush plan now. Jack's starting to mix things up a little bit. They finally moved Landon Collins, which we've all been begging for our entire lives. Defense is stepping up, man. Like, we got pressure on Rodgers. Like, don't let his stat line fool you. We had him under duress for most of that game, and we had opportunities to win it. But the offense, like Hall just said, we're playing the historically worst red zone defense coached by Joe Barry. My God. And we get into that red zone 6 times. It felt like we were there. Like, our punter didn't come on the field Sunday, and we scored 10 points.
When's the last time that's happened? No punts in the game.
That's insane. Like, that is insane. And we came away with 10, but we left so many points on the field for so many reasons. But, yeah, the offense has definitely regressed. But In a way, it hasn't, because it's moving the ball and it's in position to put those points that we need up. It's just not doing it. But I need them to put together a complete performance versus a team that's either on our level or that we feel we can be better than on Sunday, because we're not playing the Packers, Saints, or the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah, and Jeff, I answered that question in my article that just got released. I just put it out on Twitter at the Burgundy Zone. The article is called The Looking Glass. So if you go to theburndyzone.com, you can see my thoughts there. Now, the next question that we have is from our boy Brandon Reinbold, Meast21, and he wants to know, with Ricky Seals-Jones producing in Logan Thomas's absence when Thomas is healthy, what are the chances we run more 2 tight end sets, and how will that change our offense? Or will Thomas be the main featured tight end? Rio.
Oh, Thomas will probably be the main featured tight end, but I definitely like what I see from Ricky Seals-Jones. It doesn't feel like there's too much of a drop-off, to be perfectly honest. He looks good. That's why, and when we were earlier in camp, when there was the battle between him and Way and Reyes and stuff, I was like, Ricky Seals-Jones has experience, and you can't discount that. And he looks like a guy who's been there, done that. Never performed at a high-end rate, but he looks like he knows what he's doing. He looks the part, and Heineke has a rapport with him. So I could definitely see a lot more 12 formation, a lot of 2 tight end sets once Logan gets healthy. Please get healthy soon, Logan. We need you.
Yeah, he'll be back after the bye. I said that when he got injured. That was the date to be circled. They're getting ready for Tampa. They know that's a big game, and that's what they'll bring him back for. I do think that they'll use a bunch of 2 tight end sets when they come back. I know Colin Dunphy, WFT News, put out a stat a while ago that last season their best offensive plays were when they were in 2 tight end sets and jumbo packages, and that's when they were the most effective. So given with how Ricky Seals-Jones has done so well in Logan Thomas's absence, they better get him on the field, given the fact that Curtis Samuel's dinged up. So is Diami Brown's dinged up as well. And there's not many guys outside of Terry right now on the outside that could contribute. Without a doubt, you're going to need to have Ricky on the field more. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, definitely agree with y'all. Definitely think you'll see a little bit more 12 personnel. I don't think it'll be conventional 12 personnel where it's tight end on both sides of the line. Ricky Seals-Jones is a converted wide receiver out of college and the beginning of his career. So you can have Ricky Seals-Jones flexed out maybe in the slot, maybe playing on the outside. As well as Logan Thomas, he's an athletic tight end as well. But definitely, I think they're going to do a lot more tight end sets, a lot more heavy sets. Definitely will benefit in the run game a little bit more, getting an extra blocker out there for Gibson and the rest of those backs. But also, if you look back to Carolina, this offense is really tight end dominant and tight end heavy, and really relies on the tight end. So they have 2 on the field that can definitely stretch the field, stretch the middle of the field, open it up for Terry in the intermediate, the deep stuff.
Yep.
I definitely think that Scott's going to definitely adjust the offense a little bit and go a lot more 12 personnel heavy.
And that'll help in the red zone. Obviously, they have been putrid, and that was evident last week against the Green Bay Packers defense, which is, I think, on pace for record numbers, is one of the worst red zone defenses in the NFL over the course of the season. But now our next question is from on Twitter, from the poll that I put up asking for questions, and this one's from Paul Murphy. And I'll stick this one with you, Rio. What did you think of Danny Johnson's performance last week?
Yeah. He was fine. He was all right. We're not getting much from our secondary, so any type of competency, especially from someone we're not expecting it from, I'll take it. I can't give too much to anyone on that side of the ball until they have a real game-changing performance. But they held up. They held up.
Yep.
Rodgers, I was one of those people you mentioned on my show who thought Rodgers and company was going to give us 35 plus last week. So the fact that we didn't, him and St. Juice, they held it down for the most part.
Yeah, they did. And Danny Johnson made some great plays when he needed to. There was one 3rd down where he came up and made a great tackle close to the Packers end zone and was able to get them off the field. I think that he did really well with stepping in, because when you think of William Jackson leaving, being injured, you're like, okay, well, who's the secondary now? We don't have anyone. We shipped off Jimmy Moreland. Danny Johnson stepped in and did really well. He might lack with talent-wise physically, but he's a very smart football player, like Ron Rivera said in his press conference 2 days ago. And he made some crucial plays at crucial times, especially with tackling in our secondary. That has been needing to improve, and Danny Johnson proved that.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was nice to see a guy in the secondary make a tackle, not actually wrap up while tackling, not just throw their shoulder at their legs and try to trip them up, something like that. So I definitely give him his props on his tackling wise. He played the run very well, and then even when they called the ball on him, he kind of kept him in front of him, like you just mentioned that when he did with the dude's leg. AJ Dillon, it was AJ Dillon
Mm-hmm.
when he had him fumble, but he recovered it as well. But as far as the pass cover saying, obviously there's a reason why he was kind of lower on the depth chart. And he's like a special teams guy. But outside of that one drive where they just kept going to Allen Lazard out the slot when Danny Johnson was covering him, ended up getting a touchdown on him. I think that he played pretty decent for a guy that he just stepped in. And like I said, it's kind of like a depth guy, not really like a defensive player. So can he carry it? Like Rio said, I want to see consistency. I'm not going to really praise anybody until I go out there and see a 2, maybe 3 game stretch where they're actually playing up to their potential.
I think that's correct. I mean, I don't think you're too wrong with that. Now, our next question is from ultra fan of us, Orange Crush 92. And Rio, I want to know your opinion on this. When you watch any Washington football game, do you see a lot of holding on our defensive line, or are they getting beat more often than not this season? If so, how do we overcome this?
Yeah, they get held, but the way I watch football in general, holding happens on every play. And when you have 4 first-rounders on that unit, on this vaunted unit, with the expectations of being a top 3 defense, they're supposed to be athletically and talented enough to overcome that. Like, I don't want to see Montez Sweat and Chase Young pity-patting with tackles every week. Like, we got to figure out how to get past this, because it feels like a very easy cop-out that we could use any week that we don't apply pressure on the opposing team's quarterback. So they gotta figure it out, man. They gotta add more to their pass rush arsenal, man. Like, these guys are good, and they're still good. No matter how the season started, they're still freaks of nature, and they're gonna produce on that clip that we're seeing Jonathan Allen do. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, the one issue with like the holding penalties that like you could bring up, Orange Crush, is the fact that as a speed rusher, allowing offensive lineman to get his hands on you is the last thing that you want to do. So regardless, you should be keeping his hands off of you so he can't hold you. Now, if you're running past a guy and he hooks you, then yeah, but I haven't seen that much of it. There's a lot more they can do to be effective as pass rushers, especially with Chase Young. I think Montez Sweat kind of showed that last week against the right tackle for the Packers. I said it on film. When you watch the stance of the right tackle pre-snap for the Green Bay Packers, when you watch the tape on him, he told you exactly what was happening. When he had his arm long, that meant that they were running the football his weights forward. When his arm was short, that meant that he was sitting back in a pass protection. He did it all the time. And those kind of minute details, I don't think Chase Young is picking up on it at the moment. He's got to kind of get that into the rhythm and into his head of being just a mechanical freak and just going out there in that straight line and getting right to the quarterback. So, no, I don't think that it's the offensive line holding or anything like that. That's always going to happen. We saw that against Tampa last year. The ref said, okay, yeah, they'll hold you. Beat it. And that's essentially what's been going on this year. And so, look, that's what you're going to have to do in this league. You're going to have to scrap and claw and fight for every chance you get. So you better come at 150 miles an hour every time you can.
Yep.
Yeah, Rio kind of hit it. Like he said, there's pretty much holding. Every offensive lineman holds on pretty much every single offensive snap. It's just a matter of how egregious is the hold. And if you notice they are getting held, my rebuttal to that would be the defensive lineman should be selling it like Oscar style. It's just like really just
LeBron style.
Flailing his hands out there. Exactly.
Yeah, you
just
got
flop,
to.
Exactly. LeBron flop style just.
You got to.
So that the referee sees it and notices it and points it out and says, okay, I had to throw a flag because that was just egregious and ridiculous. So, yeah, I just think that – and then like you said, Kyle, like even if you are getting held, I mean, you have arms. You have like a swim move. You have rip moves to kind of smack the offensive lineman's arms off of you and get to the quarterback. So at the end of the day, it shouldn't be any excuses. You should be able to, like I said, get the attention of the referee by overselling the hold, or you should be able to get off the hold and get to the quarterback, or at least make a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. You've seen Jonathan Allen do a great job of that so far. So take notes from him, get the rest of the defensive line.
That's a fantastic point. Rio, I'll go with you to this next question. This is a superstar question. Our guy, Andy Burrows of the DC Tweet Team podcast in the UK. Oi! His question, Rio, is, would you trade Chase Young for Deshaun Watson if that's what was on the table?
Are we talking pre-allegations or are we talking right now?
Right now.
Right now.
I'm gonna take the unpopular stance on this question. Yes. Yes, because it is that's not just the court. Like, let's put the allegations aside, which you can't do. I know. I'm gonna take the flack on this one. We've never seen a 26-year-old elite superstar quarterback traded in the history of this league. So the fact that one is available, there's a lot going on why he's available, but it's Deshaun Watson, man. It is Deshaun Watson, and I'm not trying to knock Chase Young because he's a freak of nature, and I still think he has that generational talent in him, but you're not going to see me hold back. Honestly, the only players I would not trade for Deshaun Watson if we were to actually throw our hat in this are Terry McLaurin because he needs someone to throw the ball to him, and Sam Cosmi because he needs someone to protect him. Everybody else is fair game. Not a combination of multiple starting defensive linemen, but for one of them, take your pick. It's Deshaun Watson. Take him.
I wouldn't trade Chase. What I would do is I would trade Sweat. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to Sweat, and the only reason I'm saying that is because as of right now, any knowledgeable person that watches this game can say that Sweat is the better pass rusher at the moment. He's a very good run defender as well. He does have a year ahead of Chase Young, but that's no indictment against Chase Young. But you get more bang for your buck out of Montez Sweat with the Houston Texans. And I think that would make more sense to them because they can plug in a pass rusher right away to kind of build their defense around and could be a superstar. And that's where it makes more sense because I'm trying to retain the future assets. And if I can have, instead of it being a first rounder and change that to a third rounder because Montez Sweat is now in the conversation, I'm willing to do that because he does cost more.
Man, oh man. Would I trade Chase Young for Deshaun Watson? First
of
all,
I've been killed for this conversation.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be recorded.
Look, I've been the biggest Deshaun Watson fan since I seen his first snap in Clemson when he came in as a freshman. So I know what he's capable of. I know the type of quarterback that he is, and he's definitely that franchise changing, game changing, put you in playoff contention, Super Bowl contender type quarterback every single season, and year in and year out. I would have to say yes. I would trade Chase.
What?
I know that pains me to say because I definitely think that, like Rio said, I definitely think Chase has that potential to be one of those top defenders in the league at some point in time, potentially defensive player of the year type of guy. But if you just look at the way the league's shifting right now, and look, I was watching The Herd earlier. Colin Cowherd broke it down so perfectly. He listed the top 14 teams right now in the playoff hunt that are in the playoffs, and he called it the haves and the have-nots. All 14 of those guys on the list, those are guys that you can win a Super Bowl with. Those are franchise guys. He put a list of the have-nots, and we're right in the list of have-nots. We don't have a quarterback right now, and you're seeing that. You're seeing it right now. Look at the game last night. A guy like Aaron Rodgers has his top 3 targets down, still goes out and beats a guy like Kyler Murray, who's also a top guy in this league. So
undefeated.
Undefeated, exactly. So it's a quarterback-driven league right now. You need that guy. And with the way that his second season has gone so far, out of the 5 years that Ron Rivera is going to be here, hopefully will be here, I don't think he can afford to have another losing season under his belt. And most likely that would happen if you go ahead and draft a rookie. You can already just throw the next season to a wash because if you start the guy from jump, there's probably going to be a lot of bumpy roads here and there. Or if you go out and sign like another stopgap guy while drafting a rookie, well, eventually that rookie's probably going to get on the field, which means probably some more losses. So with that being said, I think that Ron wants a veteran guy. And you see what he had. When he had a great quarterback in Carolina with Cam Newton, at the top of his game, Ron was winning games, took him to the Super Bowl 15-1. When he didn't have Cam Newton, look at Ron's record. You need a quarterback in this league, and Deshaun Watson is that dude.
Yeah, and going back into the offseason early on this podcast, I talked about Deshaun Watson, and I said it's going to have to be like a blister with putting the pressure on it for it to pop for the Washington football team to have a chance in it. And I will say, do I think it will happen? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But that pressure is actually happening at the moment. Miami Dolphins are kind of creeping out of it. They want to wait for the legal issues. The Panthers have dropped out. things are looking like pressurized right now. And do the Houston Texans want to keep him on with all those legal issues?
Hey, listen.
I think Washington could pull it off.
Listen, Kyle, I'll put it like this. This organization should want no parts of what's going to come with him, but
they're used to it.
This is the life that we live. Right. Look at the head on the snake. Right. Look at who runs this organization. We may be the most fit organization for what he's going through. And this, if Ron Rivera's willing to take that shot on him, then if Ron seems like a good judge of character, if Ron's willing to ride with Watson, so am I. I've been waiting for a talent in the quarterback room like that my whole life. Then let's play ball.
Dude, my man Andy with the best question so far.
My guy.
Let's go with you. And Scott Hartley, the Inquirer from the UK, has this next one question for us. Who has played well and is your most underrated player on the squad this season?
Oh, that's an easy one, and it's not really that easy because he never really gets to shine. No one really talks about him. He's a guy that just goes under the radar. And when I say under the radar, no one even thinks to talk about this guy. But my man Zach Selby did a pretty great piece on him. I saw it on Twitter. Chase Roulier, the dude's been a top center in this league. He's going to the line. He's calling out the protections. He's calling out the shifts on the line. He's getting the guys on the line set every single play. He's setting the tone for the guys every day and every play. So they gave him a extension deal, which again went under the radar. No one really. I guarantee if you put Chase Roulier in a line of people and said for $1 million, pick that dude out in the lineup, no one would ever pick him out. But that just goes to show you that he puts his head down, comes to work every day, just does his job. And I got to go with Chase Roulier because the dude's just been a monster up front for us.
Yeah, and I'll give credit. Cole Holcomb is my guy. He's leading the team in tackles right now with 48. He's been a part of a bunch of crucial plays, like the one forced fumble in the end around he was a part of. He got the pick against the Saints, which stopped the first drive of the season that didn't end up in a touchdown for the Washington defense. So I think it's Cole Holcomb. I think because I was critical of him early on. I wanted him to kind of step up and be that stopgap, that leader, that captain on defense in the middle of the field that this team needed because Jamin Davis was not ready and John Bostic was too slow in pass coverage to be on the field a lot. So I felt like that Cole needed to be that guy, and he has been. I think he deserves the credit. He has been underrated, and because that linebacker core's looked is so bad, he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Most underrated player. Like, if it wasn't for the injuries, I would definitely say someone like a Sam Cosmi, who was kind of like, it wasn't a surprise to me because once they put pads on at camp, he looked like the real deal, but he was really anchoring that right side for us, man. Like, I'm afraid that we're going to play without Cosmi and Lucas Sunday, and what does that have to offer at this point? Who's going out there? Sharp? Who's going out there? Sadiq Charles? Like, who's playing right tackle for us if Lucas can't go on Sunday?
That question would be it would be Tajay Sharp. Yeah. Yeah, it would be Tajay. Now let's go to our next.
You mean David Sharp?
No,
David.
What did I say? Tajay? Isn't Tajay a wide receiver?
Tajay Sharp's the wide receiver. I got overhyped in fantasy and never did anything.
Oh my God, nothing.
Absolutely. Rio, I'm going to stick this one with you. Scott Hartley's next question. What is your favorite meal? And I asked him, like, out to eat or at home setting? What do you mean? He said at home. For example, breakfast. He said he'd accept brunch as well. Also, why?
Okay. I mean, my favorite dish in general, I love baked macaroni and cheese, like made correctly. Like that's my go-to dish to make myself. And I'm a big macaroni person. Let's see, breakfast. I love me some scrambled eggs, some bacon.
Well, he was just using that as an example.
Okay, but let me see. I know my daughter loves pizza. My kids love pizza. They can eat pizza every day of the week.
Me too.
Yeah, they can eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm going to go baked mac and cheese, man. I'm a simple guy. I love steak. I love chicken. I love meats and all that. But some good baked mac and cheese is a good crowd pleaser, man. That's my go-to.
I'm just like two foreheads make a right, and that is Mr. Peyton Manning. Chicken parm, you taste so good. Chicken parmesan all day long, dude. The noodles with the tomato sauce. Oh, the crispy chicken. Oh, I could just taste it right now.
You fancy, huh?
Chicken parm all day long. I could eat that meal every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another pasta dish as well. I'm a big chicken Alfredo guy. I love me some chicken Alfredo. I mean, literally, how can you go wrong with chicken Alfredo? Pasta, sauce, chicken. This is a threesome that everyone should want in their life. So I'll go chicken Alfredo.
That's awesome. Hey, now let's
See what you did there.
Okay, so let's start. Let's for the last 10 minutes here, fellas. Let's break down this football game. And so I want to ask you guys one key for the Washington football team that they have to excel at in order to be put in the best position to win against the Broncos on Sunday, Rio.
I seen you tweet something earlier about Washington having 250 or 230 rush yards or something. We need that. We need Gibson to go crazy this week because I need to see some glimpses of the hype machine that we got in the offseason, like our version of McCaffrey. I need to see the run game go crazy. McKissick doesn't get a lot of carries, but every time he touches the ball, he makes things happen and grinds out tough yards. I need our run game to dictate the pace of this game. I saw a dude I'd never heard of on Thursday Night Football last week come in and dog the Broncos. I don't even know what a Dearness Johnson is, but he showed up last week in prime time and looked like prime LaDainian Tomlinson versus the Broncos. So the run game, I need them to get it going, and I need them to put up numbers on Sunday and give Heineke some help because he sure needs it in the red zone because he has issues over there.
Dearness Johnson, that's it's in my pants right now, Rio. No, but I'll tell you right now, one key for the win. I will say it's going to be defensively on third down. Of course, my dogs are barking. Just give me 1 second. Give it a second.
He thinks he muted it, but he didn't.
No, I know. I muted it.
It's like Will Ferrell and Wedding Crest, like Mom, meatloaf.
I muted it for the recording, not for the Zoom call. But the key for the game is going to be defensively because the Denver Broncos offense this season is 28 of 88 on third down, so they're at 30% clip. For the Washington football team to be able to be successful in this football game, they have to hold the Broncos to that 30% clip. As of right now, this defense is giving up 58% on third down so far this season. They have to improve in this game. If they want a chance to compete in this game, give Taylor and this offense multiple chances to be able to score points without being down by 2 or 3 scores. Get off the field on third down. Keep them under 30%.
Yeah, I definitely got to go with the run game as well. If you even think back to last week with that pick with Taylor Heineke, that Antonio Gibson run, he was one Eric Flowers thigh away from busting that for 80 yards down the field. We definitely, I think Rio's right. We definitely need to see that flash of what we saw Antonio Gibson last year, the 10 total touchdowns Antonio Gibson, the break through the line, run for 60 yards downfield on Dallas Antonio Gibson. I know he's been banged up a little bit, so maybe that's kind of hindering his breakout speed and breakaway ability. But I definitely think the key to this game is going to be, like we talked about Benjamin Allbright. It's going to be one of those old school, grind it out, run the ball, play some. Well, hopefully we play some good defense. Play good defense, and a low scoring game. And I think that the key to that victory will be Antonio Gibson going for over 100. He's on my fantasy team, and I need the win this week, so hopefully that comes to fruition. But I definitely think in real life, the key to this victory is going to be pound the ball with Antonio Gibson, and hopefully he can break one for a 50-plus and then get the big play going.
Yeah, and both of you guys were picked the running game, and for good reason. Their leading tackler on the Broncos is Kenny Young, who they just traded for from the LA Rams this week with 46 tackles. And behind him is Kareem Jackson, who is the actual leader in tackles for this Denver defense with 43. And that's kind of reminiscent of this football team rather than Landon Collins is second in tackles, showing you that linebacking core is not playing well, going to your points about running the football. Now, let's get into our predictions for the football game to wrap this up, fellas. So let's get a prediction, score prediction, and an MVP, Rio.
I'm going to go 21-17, Washington. I'm picking us because we should beat this team. And as I look at the schedule, I'm not sure how many times we're going to pick this team for the rest of the year. This win is needed. We need to go into the bye week and to the trade deadline with some sort of positivity because our next game is versus Goat Brady and the Buccaneers, and that means we could be staring 2-7 in the face if we don't win the game. My MVP is going to be Chase Young is going to get 2.5 sacks Sunday. We're finally going to get one of those performances that we expect out of the young generational talent that we took second overall out of Ohio State. He's going to be all over Teddy just like he was when we played the Panthers last year, but Dwayne Haskins stunk it up and didn't give us a chance after he forced those turnovers. Because he forced 2 last year, a fumble, and he forced an interception last year versus them. So I see him getting off on Teddy once again.
Yeah, and Taylor came in that fourth quarter and almost won that. Gave him a chance to come back in that football game and win it, if I can remember correctly. My prediction for this game, it's going to be 20-16. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be an old school type of game. Running the football is going to be the strength here. Both teams kind of limited in the passing game. Obviously, defensively, Washington has struggled, and Jerry Jeudy being back, maybe they will take advantage of that. But I do think it'll be low scoring. I think Washington edges it out 20-16. They lead 17-16 with about 5 minutes left, and Blewett extends it to 4 points, putting pressure on Teddy to get a touchdown to end it, and the defense comes up big.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't say my MVP. MVP's J.D. McKissick. Given the fact that they have really good secondary guys and their linebackers suck, they're going to be using him all day long in the passing game. Sorry, go Hall.
Yeah, I think the key, like I said before, the run game is going to be key in this game. I think that Washington does pull this out. I know that, again, is the two pretty much Spider-Man meme, like pointing at each other. They're the same exact team.
Exactly.
But I think that we're just slightly a little bit better than right now. So I definitely think that we win this game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be 23-18. We pulled out by 5 points. My MVP is going to be Antonio Gibson. I think, like I said, I think this is finally the breakout game for him. I've been calling it all year. I've been waiting for it. This is going to be the breakout game. He goes over 100. I'll go over 120 total yards. I think to get him involved in the passing game as well this week as well. So, yeah, over 120 scrimmage yards, MVP, Antonio Gibson.
I knew that you were going to go that route. I think it's wishful thinking given your fantasy
it is
squad,
wishful,
but it's okay.
I mean, look, I'm trying to put some good juju in there.
Right. Hey, I want to say thank you so much, Rio, for being able to come on here and be able to talk ball with us, my friend. You have done such a great job with your pod and linking up with the community and being a fan ambassador. You really have done an incredible job thus far, growing your podcast in crazy speed. That's astronomical, to be perfectly honest with you. I wanted to thank you, Rio, and give you your roses because you're kicking butt, dude.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate those flowers, and I appreciate what you guys do, man. You guys, like I said, you guys set the bar for what this Washington podcast community, like, to me, y'all set the bar and the standard for what this is, and y'all were one of the pods I always watch, like, yo, I need to start mine, and it's fun, man, kicking it with y'all, going to kick it with y'all at camp, kicking it with y'all at the games. It's more than just talking on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, this is a real brotherhood, and like y'all met and kicked it with my pops, like, you know, it's real, it's good vibes, man. I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Of course, and if you want,
anytime.
if you can, Rio, just talk about your Twitter tag, just in case anybody watching doesn't know, like, where they can find you, where they can find your podcast.
Okay. My social media is Instagram and Twitter is @Rio_Robinson91. My podcast is called Rambling About Washington. My YouTube channel, as you can see on my backdrop, Rambling with Rio. You'll see me talking up a storm, stirring it up on Twitter, but keeping the vibes good. You know what I'm saying? I can talk a little bit of shit here and there, but it's all good vibes, and, you know, that's how we keep it on this side.
Yeah, and just in case you guys didn't know out there, Rio is a huge Commanders fan, the new name for the team. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We will see you guys on Monday with a fresh new episode, and I'm not sure Reed will be there. Reed today is at work, and the timing, everything didn't match up, but everything's all right. Good luck to the Washington football team. They're 2-5. Hopefully they move to 3-5 heading into the bye, which is next week. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
See you guys on Monday. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!